Oh, wow. Yeah, when it comes to gender discrimination lawsuits, it never really goes the way this headline reads. Man wins $390,000 in gender discrimination lawsuit after female colleague gets promotion he was more qualified for. But I do feel that in the wake of the Me Too movement, I'm sorry, McCarthyism, and everything else that's been going on with society over the course of the past 5 or 6 years, these kind of lawsuits are going to be more prevalent. And this has a lot to do with the fact that these types of discrimination in hiring practices are very illegal. And the people that try to, they want more diversity and more inclusion in their hires, and they openly broadcast that, are going to be the ones that are going to be slapped with these lawsuits. And it's going to be very, very, very fascinating. Now, it says here that a court in Austria has ruled that transport ministry official Peter Franzmayr was discriminated against on the basis of his gender when a managerial role he applied for was given to a woman instead. Now, just that opening sentence alone, is going to trigger like a lot of progressive feminists on Twitter. They're going to be like, the patriarchy, frothing at the mouth over these kind of things, as they are prone to do. Now, the case began in 2011 when the Austrian Minister of Transport, Innovation and Technology, led by Social Democrat politician Doris Bures, currently the second president of the country's parliament, decided to consolidate two departments and had to pick a new manager. 3 candidates came forward and were all judged to be highly qualified for the role. Ursula Zechner, who then headed the regulator Schneider Control, was ultimately offered the job over the other 2 male applicants. Franzmayr, whose application was rated 0.25% higher than Zechner's, sued for gender discrimination. Wow. That is a very narrow margin for filing the lawsuit. That is a very data-driven person. Right? Like, how would you even like determine that? Who would sit there and be like, how would you calculate the point structure for this whole thing? I just find that to be super fascinating. The Federal Administrative Court ruled in favor on Monday, the Austrian press reported, and instructed the state to pay him compensation worth roughly $390,000 US, the difference between his current salary and the one he would have earned in the role, plus damage and interest. So the guy got nearly $400,000 because his application was 0.25% higher. That is a thing. That is crazy to me. That is freaking crazy to me. Now, it says the court found a discernible pattern, according to which Zechner was treated more favorably than other candidates from the beginning. Okay, see, there we go. Right? It's not just the 0.25%, but that's like the first line, right? The first little breadcrumb you find, and you're just like, oh, I wonder where this goes. Burris defended her decision in a statement. She said that the appointment was carried out according to the procedure prescribed by law. Okay, but admitted that the mass underrepresentation of women played a role in the decision-making process. And saying here, I hope that the current decision doesn't call into question the principle of encouraging the promotion of women. I don't think it would, but oftentimes in these scenarios, we talk quite a bit about meritocracy and the idea that the most appropriate candidate is the one who gets the position. And I do bring this up pretty frequently when I say I think one of the best examples of this that I've been able to find has actually been the hiring for writers on John Oliver's Last Week Tonight. And there's a very progressive system for it. What they do is they take everyone's resume, they remove everyone's name, and they look at their qualifications. They look at what they've done, they look at what they've achieved, and that's how they choose the person that they hire. I like that. It removes everything. It's the most fair system I've ever heard of. And I'm sure there might be more fair systems out there, or even more systems that are more fair. There we go. Kind of half proper grammar. But I like the way they do it. But to say here, like, I hope the current decision doesn't call into question the principle of encouraging the promotion of women. It only would when it comes out that you gave favorable treatment to one because of what was perceived mass underrepresentation. And while I understand what she was attempting to do, it's not necessarily the procedure prescribed by law now, is it? So, because the court totally ruled against you here. Now, after leaving the ministry, Franzmayr worked as a lawyer for 4 years before returning to the public sector as a municipal director in the town of Wels in 2016. He was appointed to the supervisory board of ASFINAG, Austria's publicly owned motorway network, and he's done his shit. Now, coincidentally, Zechner also began a job at ASFINAG, ASFINAG? Whatever, earlier this month as a managing director responsible for commercial matters, according to the website. So once again, they work for the same company. And once again, I don't think this whole thing is going to happen in the way that they want it to. But I find this story to be fascinating, because we as a general society, our human culture, so to speak, we should be pushing for equality, but that equality should be very much tied to meritocracy. That is the truest form of equality. Are you the better person for the job, right? And if you are that person, then you should get the job. And if you aren't that person, then, well, get your ass to class, bitch, and learn. Get yourself better than the person. In this particular case, I guess on a numerical value, the courts at least agreed that his qualifications put him 0.25% higher. That's funny. That is just funny. That small, minuscule amount got him 400 grand. But I'm happy it happened, because it needs to happen. There are people out there, companies in the United States right now that are preaching these diversity hiring tactics, and they're basically saying, no, cis white men, fuck them. Nope, don't do it. That's not diverse or inclusive enough. But the way they go about that is a violation of people's civil rights. It is a violation of these laws, and these companies are going to get hit. And you are probably going to find people that are going to come out and they're going to start applying for these jobs. And when they get denied those jobs, they're going to start filing lawsuits. Now, it's going to be kind of probably a get-rich-quick scheme for some of these people, and I don't agree with those kind of frivolous suits, but this isn't necessarily frivolous. If a company is putting out an open call for hiring, and they are choosing one person over another based upon their skin, their religion, their gender, or their race, which I guess would argue skin, then that's no good. In the meantime, I fully support the idea of just removing everyone's name. That way, your qualifications, your expertise, your education, your experiences, that's what sells you for the job. Not who you are, what your name is, or what genital you were born with. What you just saw was a shorter clip from a longer show. The Rustled Podcast airs every Sunday through Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard on rustled.net. Please consider subscribing to the channel, as well as 3 Buck Theater, and potentially becoming one of our sponsors at patreon.com/mundanemat. Thank you, and have a great day.